Is the left. Hello, everybody. It's 6 o'clock sharp. We are here another week of Graduate Power, and we are so excited because we have Professor Angelica Mantovani and our alumno Israel Rosario, and our professor is actually double John Jay alumni, so they will tell us all about that. So we are so excited for today, another beautiful day. Let me just introduce you our alumni, Israel Israel Ricario Rosario. He graduated in 2024. He actually was one of my students, so I'm very excited to have it here. He's a former engineer. I would say always, once you're an engineer, you're always engineer.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, you always been engineer. Turner, he turned public high school teacher. So he's now oh my God, that's excited. Israel brings a powerful transition story from the STEM classroom with a passion for serving underserved students. He uses MPA to drive real change in public education. So welcome, Israel. And now also we have our professor, Angelica Mantovani, who is a professor in our program, MPA program. He's a double John Jay alumni and dedicated faculty member in the Department of Public Management. Professor Mantovani has empowered generations of students of Masters of Art and persuasive writing. She's an excellent writer and he teaches beautiful critical thinking. Her commitment to mentorships and academic excellence is unmatched. Welcome very much. And I am Dr. Elsa Sofia Morote. I am a professor in public management. And now today I'm your host. So welcome, and I'm so excited to have you here. Let's begin with our alumni. Tell us more about yourself. Tell us more about you. What motivates you to be in the program? Tell us, what are you doing now? Tell us more about you.
Certainly. Well, Dr. Mote and Professor Mantovani, thank you for having me here to speak on your platform. So just a quick synopsis or background. I am Israel Ricardo Rosario, born and raised in Brooklyn. I graduated with my bachelor's in mechanical engineering technology from SUNY Polytechnic upstate New York in Utica, New York, 2016. So I took a little gap between undergrad and grad. I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do. So when I transitioned from engineering into teaching, I decided to learn more about the public sector. It was brand new to me, understanding going from private sector to public sector. So I was very intrigued and very interested and realized that there's a big pathway that I can take learning about public administration. So again, I started teaching about 2021, 2022, a big turnaround year for me. Started grad school, started a new career, still young and trying to find my way through life at that point. So my interest in public administration was definitely inspired by STEM education and just serving the disadvantaged.
That's amazing, and especially the mix with the STEM and MPA. I went to that path because I'm engineering. I also have the MPA, so I understand that mix is very interesting. Professor Mantovani, could you please tell us about yourself? What motivates you to go back and be a professor in the program?
Okay, definitely. So as you mentioned before, I'm a very proud double alumni of John Jay myself. I did my undergrad in forensic psychology, and then I have my master's in public administration in the inspection and oversight. While I was an undergrad and graduate student, I actually started I was tutoring in the writing center here at John Jay. So I was tutoring the undergrad and graduate students. And then I started teaching some basic skills courses for the students that were entering college, English writing, basic skills courses. And then after I graduated with my MPA, I was offered to teach one of our courses. So I was excited about that. And that was in 2007. And, here I still am today, happily teaching for our department. And I also, I was a writing coach for our graduate students. And Israel actually was one of my students. I had him for 700 and 755. And I just remember too, Israel, if I'm correct, when you were like the first semester that we were finally in person post the pandemic, correct?
Yes, I was.
I remember that, as great as the online courses were. When we finally got back in person, it was a Saturday morning, 8:40, and Israel was in the 700 class, and everyone was sort of happy to be back in that environment in person. But what motivates me is, besides feeling at home in the classroom, really what motivates me 100% are the students. I feel that, our students really are one of a kind. They're so bright, open-minded, and they really are hardworking and dedicated students. They have all their challenges that, most of them work full time. They have family obligations, but they really, are still working hard to get their degree. And I'm very proud to teach them.
I think this amazing, and also the fact that you also, besides being a professor, you were serving as a coach. I mean, this is a great experience. This is one-on-one work with each of our students, and I know, because I was a professor of Israel, he did a beautiful job in their papers. I still remember. So
that was definitely the help of Professor Mantovani.
Oh, you see, now I know the secret. I didn't know.
One of my biggest fears transitioning to this major was going from a STEM-based major to more writing-based, and writing wasn't really my strong suit. So I remember like the first assignment was probably like 5 or 10-page paper. I'm like, oh man, how am I going to do this? But Professor Mantovani definitely walked us through it really well.
That's good. Now, tell us more about your experience, Israel, while you were doing in the MPA program, about your professor. You already mentioned your relationship with your professor. If you went to a conference, what did you do? Tell us what is your experience as a student, what you can remember.
Yeah, absolutely. So my experience as a student might be different from what it is now, because we were just coming back from COVID. So the wheel was just starting to turn. So I will say, for the most part, professors are absolutely amazing at John Jay. They really guided us through the program. I was blessed to be fortunate enough to have Professor Mantovani as one of my first professors there. Dr. Rivera, Dr. Grossberger. So I had some really great professors, really good heavy hitters, I would like to say, that were inspiring and intriguing. So that allowing them to, or having them there to guide us, was really great. I think the atmosphere at John Jay is truly amazing. I love John Jay. I went to a school upstate for undergrad where it was basically nonstop studying, and no, how can I say, no community that I felt. But as soon as I stepped into John Jay, I just wish I could stay longer on campus, for sure. And the coursework, it's not completely, I wouldn't say it's something that cannot be done, but it's definitely intriguing where it gets you to think further, because at the end of the day, you're looking to assist and aid those who really need help, being there for people. And I felt that one thing about John Jay and this program was it gave me a better sense of compassion for those who actually need this, especially with myself looking into public administration, education, or factoring in STEM and education, to help those in need.
That's good. And we have comments. Here it is. You have Michael is saying, great work, Israel. You are a truly remarkable teacher. Yay, because you're also a teacher. So
Yes.
your fans already commenting in the website. One of the questions that people are asking in the live, they're asking, is you were a part-time, full-time student?
So I definitely was a part-time student. I did about 2 courses per semester. I got a little ahead of myself, and I did 3 courses. I believe it was actually my last semester, if not my second to last semester. I forgot. I know it was my capstone and 2 courses. That was a little hectic, but I got it done. I made sure I got my capstone done in the first try. I was not trying to go back again. My game plan was get the capstone done as soon as possible. After that, I can focus on the other 2 classes, and I was able to do it. It's not that bad. Saturday classes. This is where I realized I was a different student from undergrad to grads. I tell my students, personal students, all this time, don't be like me. Campus would have never seen me step foot there on a Friday or Saturday, and then as a graduate student, I'm there 8:40 in the morning, a cup of coffee, like, good morning, Professor Mizafani. How are you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you were in the Saturday. That was interesting.
Yes.
So that's good. Professor Mantovani, could you tell us more about Israel is sharing that he was a part-time most of the time. What is the composition of the students that you know?
Based on my experience and all these years, I'd say it's a good mix, right? It really depends. We have both part-time and full-time students, and it depends on how much their schedule allows them to take. You have the ones that just can find that time to do it all, in that full-time category, but then the ones that need to take fewer classes a semester, and it's fine. As I tell all of them, there's no timeline, there's no rush. You have to do what works best for you, what works with your schedule, and just go with that. So I would say that it's a good mix, in my opinion.
That's good. Now they're asking if the classes are online or in person. Obviously, they have both. Could you tell us a little more about, since you have teaching both versions, could you tell us, an online student, what we will need in order to succeed, for example, versus the in-person student?
That's a good question. I feel that has to do with personality. Like I myself, if I think about as far as teaching, of course I love teaching both, but I love the in-person and the interaction. But online doesn't have to prevent that, right? We have online classes that could be synchronous or hybrid, to where you'll meet in person, not in person, you'll go online live, and you're able to interact with everyone that way. So I don't feel like, I know some like kind of maybe fear a bit the online classes, worried that it may prevent them from, I don't know, learning as much or having that interaction. But it's still, we've come such a long way, with online, that I feel that you do what works best for you, and what works for the students, they can choose that way.
Yeah, I also teach both in both versions, and I like it both. I think we all have become experts after the pandemic
Absolutely.
to teach online and to learn.
Right.
If I can chime in on that, so at one point during my grad school career, I was like, man, I should have done online. It was where I would have to leave from work to go to class or campus, and driving to Manhattan at that time was not the best. I was so used to 2 minutes getting over the Manhattan Bridge. Now it's like 30 minutes. So I thought about it, and you know what? I would never regret being an in-person student, even though I did take some online classes. I think the connections you build with the professors in the program are very knowledgeable. They are wonderful people. They're people outside of John Jay, where, like, for example, for yourself, Dr. Murthy was an engineer before. Someone like me that sees that you was an engineer, it looks great. Like, all right, this is very inspiring. Like, if she can do it, I can definitely do it myself. So I think the biggest part was building connections in person. That's made me think, you know what, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah. So it talking about that, do you think about, you talking about the challenge, one of the challenges is the mobilization, going from one place to another, and also the advantage. What other challenges you found when you were in the program? What people have to be aware? What things do you like to let them know?
Definitely balancing career while in school. I've always worked while I was in undergrad, but the severity of my career and wanting to give my classes my complete best was a challenge. So I was a completely different student from undergrad to grad student. Uh, Undergrad, I was C's get degrees, 2.5 GPA. I'm not ashamed to say that because I was able to attain my degree. When I guess maybe with maturity as well, as a grad student, I strived for a 4.0 GPA, even though I fell just a little short, just a little short. I still was able to accomplish a goal and give my best potential while holding a professional career. It's a little difficult dealing with 100 to 150 students, grading their work, teaching them, and also making sure that I have my papers done on time or I'm able to submit my papers. Am I giving my best effort to this paper? Because it becomes more meaningful. I mentioned compassion before. It becomes a lot more meaningful when you're doing this for others.
Yeah, so that's important. Now I want to take the opportunity, Professor Mantovani, because you also coach in writing, and I think writing skills is so important. um, Talking about the knowledge and the skills our students need, can you tell us more about the writing specifically?
Sure. Actually, because when you asked about the challenges students have, the big one I agree with Israel was time management for many of our students. But as far as the writing, I don't like to call it a challenge, or to say that students are struggling with the writing. But what I find is my biggest push for students is I want them to have the confidence with their writing. So when we're talking at the graduate level, some students have been out of that college atmosphere for some time. We have students who English isn't their first language, or maybe they grew up in a bilingual home. So whatever the case may be, they have their, how can I say, their struggles, their inner struggles with writing. So I tell students, you have to, first thing I tell them, don't say you hate writing. Don't say you're horrible at writing. Be confident. And even the best of writers, it takes time. You don't just wake up and you're writing perfectly. So all of that is practice. And I tell them too, regardless of where they work, because there's different aspects of writing: legal writing, policy writing, memorandum writing. Even police officers have to write reports. So there's all types of writing. But I tell them, when you go to a job, they can teach you all the skills you need for the job, but the writing you have to bring with you. And so don't feel, you're in your first semester of the MPA, and, you're worried you can't write. You'll work with it, and every semester you'll get better. So I tell them it's never too late. And Israel remembers, we talked about those all the time. And I gave them opportunity to come meet with me. So especially in 700, that first really class before they start all their, other courses, we try to get all that APA down, research writing, how to do research, how to cite properly, all of that.
Yes, it is difficult now. Just for curiosity, how people combine that with the chat GTP, all those AIs, how they're helping each other. What is your take on that?
I guess I'm a bit old school. I give the same lecture for Chat GPT that I say these are all great tools. I'll give an example, even with like spell check and Grammarly. I give the same little speech to the students that it is a great tool to have, and if you use it the correct way to help you, then it's excellent. But if you use a tool where you become fully dependent on it, and then one day you don't have it, and then you're kind of lost, then that's not a good thing. So I always say use these tools. Definitely use any tools. We're so lucky to have all these tools that with advancement of technology that can help students and us as professors, right? All of us, and but just to use it the correct way.
That's good. That's good to know. So it's a tool. That's it. No,
Yes.
It doesn't think for you. That's important.
Yes.
So it's Israel. Tell me, what did you wish once you were in the program? What things you would advise to a new student? What things you would wish somebody to tell you before you enter to the program?
So it's funny because I actually have one of my students that graduated last year. He goes to John Jay right now, even though he's not within the program. But one thing I told him was like, hey, listen, John Jay is a great place to network. You need to make sure you get that social anxiety that you think you have out of your mindset and be able to make connections, talk to people. I tell my students this year, because I teach a career financial literacy course, I said, hey, the easiest way to connect with someone is say, hey, did you find this textbook? Easiest way, and so I think it's them understanding and learning how to build connections, lifelong connections with professors, students, being able to communicate and talk to people, I think is the biggest challenge that people might want to overcome or face, especially because I'm seeing students go from high school to post-secondary options like college. So I think that's the biggest part that people need to overcome. It's okay to talk to people. It's okay to learn
Yeah.
who other people are and build those connections.
Definitely, networking is highly important. And sometimes we
Like,
forget about that.
yeah,
It's because at the end of the day, you're not alone. And they created that group that makes you help it to continue growing in your life. And that's the reason you are here right now. You network with somebody. Um, Professor Mantanoni, talking about that, I know you. So Israel have MPA, PPA. You graduated from MPA IO. Now tell me your transition once you got graduated, because you also graduated from the program.
Yeah.
In what moment you become a professor? What was that transition?
It was right away. It was
They invite you. They invite you.
graduated, and then I was offered a course if I wanted to, teach, I
Mm.
guess, with my background in the writing center and, teaching those basic writing skills. I had the teaching aspect, and I fell in love, even if
Mm.
that maybe those weren't I could say that for me, the MPA was great because it's giving me, what I needed to teach in the program. So it worked for me in that sense. Like, I'm happy with what I'm doing and where I am.
Oh, okay. So you think that's also somebody saw you, saw your skills, boom,
Yeah.
you become a part of
like
the program.
networking. I might have to show my students this tomorrow.
Now, I have a question for you, Israel. So, how do you decided to go back to teaching, or you already were in the process when you were in the program?
So I was a teacher again. I became a teacher 2021 to 2022.
Yeah.
I really wanted a master's degree. I felt being a Latino, I was like, I need a master's degree, right? I want to be a part of the small population of Latinos that have their master's degree. So that's what made me pursue it. I could have gone back to STEM, but I felt like I lost my uh, maybe my willpower to continue in STEM as I was a transition to teaching. I didn't want to get my master's in education. I didn't want to be tied into teaching. I want to be as diverse as possible. And so I decided to stick with this with teaching because it helped. This program helped me understand. For example, I did some essays on the poverty cycle and how STEM education can break that poverty cycle rather than trying to become an NBA player or a professional athlete. I understand the needs for students in temporary housing, the signs from the research that I did in some of my papers. I understand that they're probably some of the most students with the highest disadvantage because they're traveling from the Bronx to like Queens. So it helped me stay. It helped me stick with education because I understand there's a bigger need in education. Even though I can go elsewhere, I choose to still teach because I feel like that's where the biggest impact is.
Yeah, that's good. I have a question. What do you teach in the schools? What exactly you teach?
So
Related to the
I
same?
Yeah, so right now I teach a career in financial management, which is a financial literacy course, mostly to my seniors. We do a lot of like career, post-secondary career work, help them figure out what they want to do after high school. Also teaching them like basic financial literacy, learning about credit, learning about budgeting, investments, and stuff like that. I also teach engineering itself, Right now, I'm teaching an engineering technology course where I'm kind of showing them how to finesse their 3D modeling skills. Right now, we're doing what's called CNC machine and computer numerical controller work. So basically, they're learning how to design a part and basically put it into a CNC machine and cut it uh, out of metal. So at 15, 16 years old, I was never doing that. Uh,
Well, yes, once an engineer, you always engineer. I'm telling you.
Exactly. So I feel like I'm doing a great impact by inspiring the students to want to take STEM careers. I usually have a lot of people there like, I don't really want to do engineering. I'm like, why not? I want to draw. All right, learn how to 3D model, like learn how to create 3D animations. Just so many
Wow,
pathways to it.
that's
So,
amazing.
yeah, and a lot of my students are actually first generation Latinos that are just coming to or are incoming students to the country. A lot of young ladies. I'm trying to make sure that we build diversity and equity within the engineering field as well. It might not have been for me, but I'm pretty sure other people can see their purpose in life in engineering.
You're probably very inspired. You are very inspiring, and thank you for inspiring all the people who are watching today. Thank you very much. Now, Professor Angelica,
Yes.
tell me, uh, for new students, what you would advise them to do? What they have to consider to sign it in either a MPA, PPA, MPA, IO. What they should be thinking of doing it?
Again, I guess I always go back to the mindset. If they know it's something they want and it's an excellent degree, and especially at John Jay, right, we always rank at the top in our MPA program, so why not? And it's a degree that will, there's so many options that they can have once they complete it. So really, just to have that mindset and confidence, because like I said before, nothing bothers me more when I hear students say, I don't know if I can do this. They start 700. I don't know if it's for me. I'm worried about. Israel was one of them with the writing. And I really tell them, I tell them to, be proud of where they are. They got to this point and they can absolutely do it. So really put that mindset. And if it's something you want, go get it. Because I look forward to seeing them, walk across that stage when the time comes in May. So that's my thing, is be confident.
Yeah, and that's what we want. We want to see all of our students graduate. We
Yes.
look forward, as the same time you guys look forward, the professors also look forward to see you that day. It's an amazing achievement for all of
It
you.
really is.
So, Israel, tell us an advice for people who are about to graduate, people who are right now in the program, are about to graduate, walk on May. What you will tell them besides preparing the resumes?
So one thing I wish I could have done was an internship. Because I was teaching full time, I wasn't able to do internships. Some of my classmates that I was with, Therno, I did most classes with him. Really, really good friend I made in college or grad school. He, I believe, interned or got a job with FEMA. I noticed that there were a lot of partnerships with FEMA. I think that was really good opportunity that I wish I could have taken. It's okay if I didn't, but always make sure they want to better themselves and get that work experience. It's cool to get a degree in public administration, but if you don't have that work experience or understanding of how to apply your public administration degree, definitely should look into internships. You could build so many connections with that.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you. We have all the people here sending the message, amazing group, great speakers. And people are very excited of our Professor Angelica Mantomani and Israel. We really thank you very much for being here today and sharing your life and your experience with us, life experience with us. So we are excited and we wish you the best. And Israel, I'm so happy for you and Professor Mantovani. We always see each other.
Yes.
So thank you very much and goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
I will see you
Thank you.
next
Take care.
Monday, next Tuesday, actually. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye.